My name is Aisha, and my favorite color is blue.
Hello, my name is Asma, and my favorite color is green. And you are listening to Car Chit Chats, a podcast where we discuss different media we have come across and our thoughts on them.
Just for the record, these will have spoilers, so this is a warning in advance for that. Yes. So, Asma, is there anything you'd like to share from the week?
Well, why don't you go first, Aisha?
Okay, I will. So, 2 nights ago, I played this game called Journey, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, it was a, what is it called? It was a game where, it was a very typical game. You have goals, you try to reach them. Fairly easy game. The reason why it's so popular is because the graphics are incredible. So it starts off with this character in a desert. And when he's moving, the sand moves with him. You can hear the sand moving, and the sun. The way the sun is shining on the sand. It's all very beautiful. So yeah, it was a very interesting experience.
What game was it again?
Journey.
Journey?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, I'd like to share an insight, I guess. Yesterday, I was rushing out of my room to go downstairs, and I bumped my hand on the wall, like, really, really hard, and there's like a red mark there, and it hurts
That's
a lot.
very red.
Yes, it is really red.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I instantly thought, oh, this is karma, because Ami, which is our mom, who is my mom.
Yeah, and my mom.
Okay, who is our mom?
Yes.
She taught us that when you are thinking something bad might happen to you. So, for example, if you stub your toe under the table or something, that probably happened because you're thinking or doing something bad. And I have experienced that a lot in my life. And I felt like that happened yesterday as well, because I was rushing out of my room to go downstairs and grab some ice cream from the fridge.
Very nice.
Although yesterday was supposed to be a day where I had no junk food, and I was doing really well until 11 p.m. in the night, where I rushed out of my room and got hit by the wall because of karma, because I was doing something bad by having or by betraying myself, my body.
Right,
so,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, do you feel that way ever?
Yeah. I mean, it happens to me sometimes where I might be thinking something and then I accidentally bite myself, bite the inside of my cheek.
Yep.
And it hurts so much. And I'm like, oh, I know why this happened. Yes.
Because you were thinking something bad?
Because I was thinking something bad, or I was, generally thinking something bad about someone, or something, or, criticizing someone or judging someone. But sometimes, bad things happen to me, quote unquote, and I'm like, why did this happen? Obviously there's a reason for everything. That's what we believe. Yeah, it's nice to think about. Yes. All right. So, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about a TV show, a Pakistani TV show called Yaqeen Ka Safar, which translates to the journey of belief, or the journey of your ambition.
Yeah, so Yaqeen means belief, and then Safar means journey, which is the game I was playing 2 days ago. Very cool. It's nice how it ties together.
Totally.
All right.
And the show's about karma as well, and to some extent, so yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Wow.
Who knew that was going to
happen? Maybe we're part of the show.
Yeah, maybe we are. Okay, so, what is the plot, Asma?
Well, I think we discussed that you were gonna,
Okay, fine. Yeah, the plot. So basically the plot follows 2 central characters. We won't go too much into the plot. We'll sort of explain it as we go. We do recommend watching this show. It was a really good show. But basically it follows 2 characters that experience very tragic moments in their life. And how basically they deal with it, how they learn from it, and how they come to peace with it and move on with their life. That's a very, very short synopsis. Obviously, there's a lot to unpack, which we will hopefully go through more of. Yeah, so Asma, what thoughts do you have on this show?
Well, I think it had a whole lot, well, many relatable characters, and it had very good character development. And I really enjoyed how it ended because it showed both of the characters you mentioned, who were the protagonists, being very at ease with their lives, which wasn't the case throughout the TV series.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So, where do you want to start off first in talking about this? Do you want to talk about So in Pakistani TV shows, when you sit down and you're about to watch the TV, about to watch the show, and it comes up with the title, and it comes up with like a little songy little thing. And so in this one, it was Guma ke baad Yaqeen Ka Safar. What does that mean?
It's more like Guma ke baad Yaqeen Ka Safar.
You listen. Yeah, well, if you listen to it on like 1.25 speed, that's what it sounded like. What I said. Yes, but what does it mean, Osman?
Okay, so if you translate it into English, it translates to presumption is followed by the journey of belief. What do you think that means, Aisham? I don't really
Honestly,
I think the word that we are a bit confused about is the word guman, because I think it's difficult Urdu, and our Urdu isn't absolutely excellent. So guman apparently translates to presumption. But we don't really I think we don't really understand how that relates to the journey of belief.
I honestly thought it meant guna ke
Yeah,
baad.
it's not.
Oh, really?
I checked it. Yep. If it was guna, then that would have been easier to understand. But
for those of you who don't speak Urdu, guna means sin.
Yep.
So it would have made a lot of sense if it was like, after you sin, you have a journey that leads you to belief. That would have been really cool, but I guess not. I don't even know what presumption means. I'm sorry, okay?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be like an English nerd, but
So can you search up what presumption means?
did! I still don't know what it means!
In the law of evidence, a presumption of a particular fact can be made with that's not the definition of presumption. You gotta search up define.
Let me do it as well.
Define presumption. It's that simple.
I thought you would have thoughts to say about this because you wrote that dot point.
I thought you would know what presumption means.
Do I look like I know things? I'm making things up all the time, okay? This is so... Okay. Presumption means the act of presuming. Oh, thank you so much, dictionary.
I mean, we knew that. So... presuming is followed by the journey of belief.
Belief on reasonable grounds. Assumption of something is true.
What does that even mean? How about we skip the title?
I was actually just going to talk about Yaqeen Ka Safar, which is which is the name
Yes,
of...
go ahead.
Okay, so Yaqeen Ka Safar means the journey of belief, right? And this is very central to the whole story because there's a lot of instances where people do not believe other people. And that could be in a way of, I don't believe what you're saying, or I don't believe in you. I don't trust you. I don't support you. And so the stories follow, in the drama, the people that weren't supported, or people that, were seen as being careless, ignorant. They were finally accepted for what they were doing, which were the right things.
They were accepted for their beliefs.
Yes, they were accepted for their beliefs. And so that's why the show's name, Yaqeen Ka Safar, is very symbolic. And I think it's a really good name for the show. That's basically what I want to talk about. That I don't know why you had to add the gamun.
You wrote guna. and that was wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I just wrote Yaqeen Ka Safar. I'm
No,
sorry.
you wrote Guna kiwa Yaqeen Ka Safar.
It sounds like Guna.
Well, it's Guman. Anyway. Okay, so a character I would like to discuss is, well, you need some background for this. So there is a poor village girl who is...
Oh, before we go on to that, there are warnings that we do
yes.
discuss things like rape and suicide in this. So, you know, if that is something that triggers you, then we do recommend not to continue this. Yes.
Yep. And again, this podcast does, or this episode at least, does include some spoilers. So if you are planning on watching it, then you should be aware of that.
Yes.
Okay, so there is a young, poor village girl in a village
Oh, wow.
who
In Pakistan.
who has a few siblings, and she lives with her parents. And one day she's just walking through the village, and she is gang raped by some people. And when she comes home, so she ends up in the hospital, and her parents see her at the hospital. It actually leads to the parents abandoning her because they are so ashamed of what has happened to her.
Yeah.
And they don't want to have anything to do with her. Except, so both parents are like that. They kick her out of the house. Except there is I think she has one brother and a couple of sisters.
Yeah, she has 2 sisters, 1 brother.
Yeah, 2 sisters, 1 brother, and they're all much younger than her, so they're all kids. The younger brother, he is the only one who I guess you could say has yaqeen in her, which means belief in her, that she didn't do anything wrong, none of this was her fault, and he is actually really supportive of her. And I think that character, having that character there, really said a lot about how things should be. So I think because she was literally just surrounded by people very, very unsupportive of her, and there was nobody who wanted her or anything, but there was that little brother who said, no, you are still very important to me, and I support you, and I'm very unhappy about what happened to you. None of it was your fault. So it was really nice to have that character there, because it just showed a bit of hope, I guess, that even when everything's so bad, there are some things or some people who do make a huge difference.
Yeah. Even if it's just one person in your life,
Yeah.
they can have a profound impact on the way you feel and behave.
Absolutely.
And it was really interesting because this is a very young child. You can very easily change how a child thinks. And so the fact that he is so steadfast about this, because there are moments where this girl, her name is Nuri's father is really degrading her, saying stuff like, oh, what have you done? You've ruined the family's reputation and everything like that. And he stands up for her and he says, oh, Dad, how could you say that to her? It's not her fault. And that was very powerful, because obviously, children, they grow up seeing their parents, they get molded, but for this child, he very much sort of had his own beliefs.
Yep.
And stood by what he thought was right.
Yep.
Which was really powerful.
Yeah, but what do you think? Like, it doesn't make sense why he would be like that, right?
Yeah.
Why did he not get molded into that person that his parents are? I think they didn't dive into that because it wasn't a major part of the story.
Yeah.
But it'd be really interesting to discuss that
Yeah.
maybe in the future.
Yeah. We really can't say what could have caused him to be this sort of person. But maybe, and I'm not sure what sort of relationship he had with his sister before this whole situation, but maybe she would talk to him about things, because, and that would sort of maybe change his mind a little bit. Or maybe he wasn't really, well, I don't really know how this works, but maybe he wasn't really told what sort of values you're supposed to have. And so, and you know, I think when children are born, they're born with this innate sense of right, I would say.
Yep.
And so maybe he wasn't taught, you know, what way to think, and so he went with the right way, which would be to support his sister and everything like that.
And I think just in his family, they both were probably the most closest people
To each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that also prevented him from thinking anything bad about his sister. Perhaps that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why he was so supportive.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was really interesting in the drama was when all of this happened to Nuri, I believe they called her Daghi. Do you remember that?
I think so.
Yeah, Daghi. And so what Dag basically means stain. So if you call someone Daghi, it basically means they have a stain on them. You know, like it's quite an upsetting word to use, but it's really interesting that a word like that exists. Because the word Daghi was used for this girl Nuri, as well as the main female protagonist that we will maybe talk about in a few minutes.
Yeah, it's interesting how the word Daghi, in English we don't really have anything equivalent to that because we don't use the word stain to personify a person or things.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that Urdu has that word.
Yeah. So there we go. So the thing that I wanted to talk about is a relationship between a mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. So basically, in the story, in the second half of the drama, the main sort of focus, the main setting is a hospital, and we can probably get into that later why the setting is a hospital. But basically, there is this one patient called Hajista. And she is a married woman, and she gets abused by her husband a lot. So her husband beats her, and you know, verbal abuse, physical abuse, and it's all very upsetting to see. And it's really interesting how they showed it because this is a young woman, and she has very, very deep dark circles. Like you can tell that you know she may be, for example, 25 years old, but she looks like she's 35. And that sort of shows what abuse can do to a person. So that I thought they did that really well. But anyway, so Hajista, when she comes to the hospital, she generally comes with her mother-in-law. And you know, in Pakistan, there's a very, very typical sort of relationship that the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law are supposed to have with each other, where the mother-in-law generally hates the daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law sort of suffers because of that. And so this was also shown a little bit in this drama.
Yep.
However, over time, and through the help of a female doctor, who was the main protagonist, which we will get into later on, through the help of this doctor, the mother-in-law starts to become more accepting of the daughter-in-law, aka Hajista.
And having more sympathy for her because of how her son treats her.
Yeah, that's right. Which is really great. So there's this one scene where the doctor, the female doctor, her name is Zubia, where Zubia says to the mother-in-law, you know, you should really tell your son to not do these things to her, because after all, she is your daughter as well. And the mother-in-law, and because obviously doctors are people that have massive respect.
Yeah.
So because of that, because Zubia, the doctor, is able to say this to the mother-in-law, she actually really takes it on board and really starts to care for her daughter-in-law. And this is very symbolic in one instance where after Hajista becomes pregnant, the mother-in-law sews a garment for her.
Yep.
And, you know, she's like, oh, Hajista, come here. And she shows her the garment, and she's like, oh, this is for you, my daughter. And it's a very wholesome and beautiful moment. And she apologizes. She's like, I'm so sorry about my son, you know, about the way he treats you. And we find out that apparently her son bought Hajista, which we didn't know. So he apparently bought her from her family, from her family, and brought her here. So basically she is sort of his possession, which is relatively disgusting. But anyway, so she apologizes. The mother-in-law apologizes to Khajista, and she says, and Khajista is like, no, look, it's okay. You apologizing is massive for me. Thank you for doing this. And yeah, the relationship really improves. So I really liked seeing that because, from the perspective of, for example, if a poor family in Pakistan were watching this, if a mother-in-law was watching this, she might think, huh. And if there is a terrible situation in the family where the husband abuses the wife, then the mother-in-law could be someone, because your mother, you're supposed to listen to your mother, and it's really interesting in Pakistan. Sometimes husbands have very high regards for their mothers, but very low regards for their wives.
Yep.
And so that sort of interplay with power could really help these women that are being abused to not get abused, basically. So it was really nice to see that sort of relationship strengthen and mold over time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think both of these stories, so Nouri getting gang raped and Khajista and her relationship with her mother-in-law and how she's abused and everything. I think these stories were very, very important. Although they're not a central part of the story, they were very, very important because of, and them being in the context of Pakistan was very important because these issues are very, very prevalent in Pakistan, super prevalent. It might sound strange talking about them in a not a Western country, but a westernized country where these kind of things are very rarely seen. But the drama really served a purpose through having these stories in them, because people definitely would have a lot to learn from this.
Yeah, so it was really cool that they did that. There's also, I think, it restores a lot of hope in the Pakistani population. For example, there is, obviously this girl is raped, and a very successful lawyer joins her case and tries his hardest to help her. And a girl that may be watching this, that may have gone through this and is struggling to come out and tell people, listen, this happened to me, these people should be punished. If she watches this drama, it may give her hope to
Empower
open up.
her. Yep.
Or it may give hope to lawyers to open up and say, I will accept gang rape cases. Because it's probably very hard, especially in a society that is so, views all of this is such a taboo topic. Would be really cool.
It may also be, for example, if a girl does undergo that, if she does get raped and her family is very unsupportive, perhaps by watching this drama they would shift their behavior towards it. And, they could also benefit that way.
So that was really good that the drama did that.
Yeah.
All right, next one is something that we both want to talk about. Did you want to talk about this one?
Yeah. Okay, so the male protagonist in the TV series is this doctor called Dr. Asfandiar, and he is played by Ahad Raza Mir. How do I talk about this? There's a lot.
Okay, so basically in the show, Nouri is gang raped. A successful lawyer decides to take her case. However, he gets murdered by the father of the gang rape leader because he's a politician. And so if Nouri won the case, it would cause the politician to lose a lot of power and reputation.
Yep.
And so the successful lawyer is killed. Now, the successful lawyer's brother is the main protagonist in the story, who is I'm just going to call him Asfi. It's Asfi, who is played by
Ahad Raza Mir.
Yes, that guy.
In my mind, he's a celebrity crush.
Yes, the Aspa's celebrity crush.
Or maybe just a character.
Yes, the character.
But then he has some good things and bad things about it. Another reason why I like the characters so much is because not all of them. And they all have something bad about them. They all have something good about them. That's why they're so relatable.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, yeah. So, okay. So, following what Aisha said about the lawyer was, the way he was murdered, there were a couple of people involved in his murder.
Yep.
And none of them got caught. And they all just kind of lived their lives. And then probably around maybe 10 years later, Asfi is just working in the hospital one night, and there is this lady who comes in, and she says, "Oh, my son has been in a horrible accident, and he needs your help." And Asfi says, "Yeah, okay, let's go check him out." And let's go check him out. Check him out. And he sees that he needs a surgery. Her son needs a surgery. When he goes back to the lady who is the patient's mother, he realizes that that lady was involved in the murder of his brother, the lawyer. So now he has the decision. Asfi needs to make the decision about whether what he wants to do with this child. I mean, the child's mother was involved in the murder of his brother. Will he take revenge on him and not cure him, or what is he going to do?
Refuse to operate.
Yeah, refuse to operate, or even do something wrong in the surgery to kill him. I mean, it's very much possible because of the anger that he would have built up through his brother dying. While he was just trying to do something good for a human being. So what Asfi ends up doing is he ends up performing the surgery perfectly, and the son is completely fine by the end of it. And this really, really, while he was doing this, the following passage was read out. "I solemnly swear to pledge my life in the service of humanity. I will practice my profession with complete dignity and protect life under all stages and all circumstances, doing my utmost to rescue it from death, extending medical care to near and far, virtuous and sinner, friend and enemy. I make this promise." So this is the pledge that he made after he finished medical school. And it just showed through him doing this surgery and through him essentially helping the enemy, it just showed how great his moral values are, and how he really stood up to what he pledged for in the past and becoming a doctor. So I just thought that was very inspirational, and you can highly look up to that, because he just stood up for his profession right there. And he said, although she did something bad, and her son is sort of associated with the unjust death of my brother, I am not gonna let this be a reason for me to become unjust.
Yeah. It was very powerful. So, it was a perfect example of, it was the right thing to do, but it was the hard thing to do.
Yep, absolutely.
And a lot of times in our lives, we will come across these sort of situations where we know what the right thing to do is, but it's the harder path. It's the one, with more troubles and more conflict. And sometimes it's really hard to take the right path, but, we could take this example, because this is a genuinely, it's a very, very big thing. So it's cool. And then after the operation happens, the mother, because she realizes, this family, this is the lawyer's family that I helped murder. She goes up to Asfi, the doctor, and she says, "You saved my son." And he says, "I didn't save your son. I saved a human being." Which is what a doctor does. He puts aside all of these things, and that's just focuses on a human life. Which was really profound as well. Okay, so moving on. So there's this quote that Asfi's father says, and I will read it out in Urdu, then I will translate it. एक बात मेरे बेटे दानियाल ने सिखा दी डर से डरना नहीं चाहिए बल्कि उसकी आंखों में आंखें डाल के उसे डराना चाहिए ये मेरे बेटे का विजन बिल्कुल क्लियर था वो उसके यकीन का सफर था. All right. Wow. It basically means my son Daniel. Wow.
Daniel.
That was so. Oh,
my son
sorry.
Daniel.
I'm so sorry, Pakistan. I'm sorry. Okay. My son Daniel has taught me something, which is that you should not be afraid of fear. Instead of that, you should
look at fear in the eye.
You should look at fear in the eye. And
scare it.
And scare it. Wow, Aspa, so profound. And he says that my son, Daniel, who was the lawyer, my son's vision was very clear. This was his journey of belief. As in, this was the main thing that he believed in. And everything he did was based off of this belief. So this was really profound because during the trials for Nuri, who was the girl that had the gang rape, Daniel's dad was very, very strict on him and said to him, listen, do not take this case. They will, your life is in danger. Our whole family's life is in danger. You should not be taking this case.
Can I add something there?
Yes.
And then Daniel actually replies and says, "Aap mujhe sachai ka saath dene se mat rokein," which is a very great quote because it translates to, "Please do not stop me from taking the side of the right
Of the truth.
Of the truth. Do not stop me from taking the side of the truth." And that was his reply to his dad saying, you shouldn't take this case because your life is in danger.
Mm-hmm. So even though it was the right thing to do, what Daniel was doing was the correct thing. He should have been standing by this girl. His father was saying no to him. His father is also a lawyer, and he was also a very successful, very well-known lawyer. And yeah, so basically, in the end of the story, his father sort of understands, listen, I was wrong. I should have stood by my son, and I will stand by my son now. Why? Because Khajista, the lady who was being abused, after she got pregnant, her husband unfortunately shot her, which caused her to lose her baby. And obviously it's a very serious crime to shoot someone. And we should talk about the other stuff because a lot of stuff ties with this. Alright, so basically, when this happens, Zubia is the girl who is a major part of this whole of Khajista's life, because she is the person who told the mother-in-law, listen, you need to tell your husband to stop abusing his wife.
You need to tell your son.
You need to tell your son to stop abusing his wife. And in the past, Zubia had this instance where when she was treating someone, she was unfortunately not able to save that person. And she was feeling really bad about this. And so Asfi came up to her and said, listen, our job is to try our best to save this person. If we can't save it, then the rest is up to God. We can't change fate. So basically, now this has happened where Khajista has been shot. She's in the hospital. She's getting treated. And obviously Zubia has a lot of anger in her because she's, it's not right. There's this guy, and his name is Bahadur, which is really funny because it means brave. This guy Bahadur has shot his wife. He deserves justice. He deserves to go to jail. It's not right. But being a doctor, she doesn't really have that much power to actually do that much about it. And so she's just sitting on one of the seats, and Asfi comes up to her and he sits opposite her, and she says, she brings up what he said in the past about healing people and letting everything else go. And she says something like, in a very sarcastic manner, she says, oh, it's between the husband and wife, whatever issues they have. Our job is to only heal or prevent disease. If she stays safe, that's great. If not, it's because God decided that. Basically, she's trying to explain to Asfi that it's not right that we just let everything else go, that we only think about healing the patient. We should be more involved in the issues that they're having. A doctor should have a higher duty to assist those that may be struggling and find ways to help them. They should take the psychological aspects of medicine more seriously. They should take how the patient's feeling, what might have caused these injuries more seriously. And so this is quite life-changing for Asfi to hear, because in the past, when his brother was sort of saying the same stuff, where he was like, listen, we need to do the right thing, we need to dive more into this, try to help these people, Asfi's family was like, no, we shouldn't do that. But a similar case has come up.
Yeah.
And it's very in their face, and it should be, they should be helping out. And so from this perspective, Asfi's dad then decides, yes, I will fight for this girl, I will fight for her right, her husband should go to jail. And so the whole quote that I said before of we should not fear, we should not
be afraid of fear.
We should not be afraid of fear.
Afraid?
You said afraid.
Well, you could unhear that.
Unhear that. I will unhear it, guys. You should not be afraid of fear. You should look fear in the eye and smack it.
Yes.
It was really profound because of this whole case that was happening.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right.
I think the way doctors approach patients in the Western world and perhaps in developing countries is very different, because this theme of, so pretty much you could say Zubia represents the way doctors treat patients in first world countries, and then Asfandiar is how doctors treat patients in the third world countries, because in third world countries you see the doctors not really caring much about how the patient is feeling, other than whether they're in pain, whether their disease is being cured or not. But in third world countries, the first world countries, they really care about, for example, what's going on in their lives, if there's any psychological burden on them at the moment, how they could help. So it's really, this is a very important message to be in this drama as well, because perhaps doctors who are watching this in Pakistan, they might learn that, maybe I should care more about the patients, because the psychological aspect of a person, it really, really does have a big impact on their physical health as well.
Yep.
So this was a very important message to have in the context of Pakistan again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. So it was good stuff. All right, so the next thing we could potentially talk about is, I think we could continue with that and just talk about how the story sort of ends in that way. So basically there's this one scene where the people that support Bahadur, who was the person that shot Khajista, they are driving down a path, and Asfi, the doctor, they're sort of driving from the opposite sides, and they reach a bridge where only one car can go at one time. And so both cars stop. The men that are supporting Bahadur come out of the car, and the doctor, Asfi, gets out of his car, and they're both looking at each other, and there's a stare down, basically. They're both staring at each other and sizing each other up like, hoo. And we don't know what's going to happen next, because these people, the people that support Bahadur are actually sort of the people that lead the colony that they live in. They're very powerful people in the colony, and so they're and there's like 5 men staring down at this lone guy.
Yeah, it's very similar to the story that happened with the lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. Because in the lawyer, Daniel, the lawyer, there was just one guy while like many people were trying to kill him and bring him down. It was very similar to that. But in this case, as they're standing by, a small gathering of people starts walking down the bridge. And they're playing music. They're just villagers. And they stop and they see Asfi. And they start saying hi to him. They're like, "Oh, hello, how are you? Hello, doctor." And you can see that there's this really, really nice rapport between the doctor and the villagers. And, Asfi looks at them and he smiles and he says hello. And the villagers notice that he's having a stare-off with these people. And he stands there. So all the villagers actually surround Asfi and stare down at the at the leaders, I guess. And the leaders back away and drive away, which is really, really profound because it shows that if you have people join you, obviously it makes you powerful. Which, if you contrast it to Daniel, the lawyer who was working by himself, one reason you could say that he was not successful was because he was working alone. If he had help, it would have really done well for him.
Definitely.
Compared to Asfi, who had this whole village behind him that was saying, "Listen, we support you. We're behind you." And then another thing was, because of his rapport with people, he's a doctor. Doctors have a lot of respect. He doesn't have to, he could have been a bad doctor. He could have still been healing people, but not treating them well, not asking them how they are. He had this good rapport because he's a genuinely nice man. And because of that, the villagers had a lot of respect for him. And so even when faced with people of power, they were on his side because they had this rapport with him. So I thought that was quite beautiful. And it was a really good lesson. When you treat people well and you build good rapport with them, they will stand by you. And so that also really helped them win the case. Because after that, the leaders were like, "Okay, we can't do anything bad to this doctor guy because everyone loves him. It'll make us look really bad. We're outnumbered as well." And so they basically left. I think Bahadur went behind bars.
He went to jail.
He went to jail. He got arrested. So they won the case, and I think this was a really pivotal moment. It's quite beautiful. It's a very, very small. It's a very small scene, but it was quite profound in that way.
Absolutely. So just some quotes that we think are worth sharing are the following. So Asfi says, "इंसान सब ही अच्छे होते हैं, बस अल्लाह बुरा वक्त ना लाए." So that translates to all people are good unless they are what would you say? Unless they are in a bad situation?
Yeah.
They are subjected to a bad situation.
Yeah.
All people are good until they are subjected to a bad situation. Yep. What do you think about that?
That's really... So, I actually didn't really understand what the quote meant, but now that you explain it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, it's our experiences that mold us to become who we are. Some of us may go through a lot of bad experiences. We might, for example, if we experience severe poverty, the way we think will be different compared to how we think. But I don't know. So if someone is, for example, if my boss was inherently horrible, right, and treated me badly, can I say that, it's because of his past? You can't just... I feel like I don't think it's fair to say stuff like that, because even if there's two people that have gone through horrible things, one person will still be a better person than the other one.
Yeah, one's learned from it.
They've moved on, they've grown, they're positive. The other one's deeply pessimistic, hates everyone. I don't think it's valid to say, okay, you can be horrible because you had a horrible past. I don't think it's valid to say that. Everyone is going through things. Obviously, some people suffer more than others. But I don't think it's fair to say that because you've been through all this stuff,
it's okay to
it's
treat
okay
people
to
this way.
Yeah. Maybe it's okay to say, okay, I understand why you're like this because you've been through all this stuff, but that does not excuse the way you're treating me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because when I thought of this quote, I thought of how pretty much all my life I've just found it very, very difficult to see why a person would want to be bad. Like, for example, a person who bullies, how can they want to do something bad?
Yeah.
How could they want to be a bad person?
Yeah.
And so I guess this kind of justifies it for me, this quote, where it says, all people are good until they are subjected to a bad situation, where perhaps it must have been that the bullies have something going on, or they were treated or badly, or they were in a bad situation that led them to be not really good anymore. But yeah, you're right. It really just depends on how you react to the situation.
Yep.
Whether you learn from it, or you decide to give revenge, or you decide to throw your anger onto someone else.
Yeah.
Or you try to reach internal measures and try to become calm yourself. Yeah.
All right. So, another quote is "मैं आपको वजह बताने की पाबंद नहीं हूँ," which I thought was really beautiful. So, what translation is, I don't have any obligation to explain to you why. Basically, because there are moments. So, for example, Asfi and Zubia start liking each other, and they think of getting married. I mean, Asfi wants to get married to her, and she says no.
Yeah.
And he's like, why? And she says, I am not obligated to tell you why. And okay, you wrote this quote down. Why do you think it's so profound?
Well, I actually didn't really like it.
Oh, okay, interesting. Go on.
Yeah. I didn't like this quote. And she used it quite a few times in the drama as well. I didn't really like it because I think everyone, if they want one, then everyone deserves an explanation, because I think it would have had a really big impact on Asfi. He would have perhaps just started making a whole bunch of assumptions about himself, about many things he could say, oh, does she hate this about me? Is it this part of my life that makes her not want to be with me? I think it just complicates things so much more. That's why I think it's much better to give people a reason.
Yep.
But why do you think it was a good quote?
The reason why I thought this was really profound was because I think sometimes I felt that this showed how much sort of power she had over herself, and basically because in the show you see Zubia have a massive transformation. She is this scared little girl, and she grows up and she becomes a strong, independent woman. And it's really, really powerful to see that happen. So some context on Zubia is that she also grew up in a very sort of abusive family.
Yeah.
Her father was very abusive towards her mother, and the reason why her mother passed away was because her father abused her to the point where she passed away. Really unfortunate. And then Zubia, events happened that caused a lot of people to look at Zubia in a daghi sort of way, which is the word that I was using before, as if she has a stain on her, and it caused her family to suffer. Like their family suffered a loss of reputation. Her brother, who used to be very loving towards her, became very sour towards her and also abused her as well. It caused her to run away from her house, and she pursued medicine, because eventually her father, after this event happened, after the loss of reputation, her father sort of asked for her forgiveness because he understood what it was like to go through something so tragic. and he asked for her forgiveness. Their relationship improved. He passed away. She was pursuing medicine. She became a doctor. She ran away from her house because her brother was abusive towards her, and she made her own life in a secluded part of Pakistan, and she started working as a doctor, and became successful and stuff like that. I think this shows that she is very sure of herself. She is very confident in herself, and if she says, listen, I don't need to tell you a reason, I think it shows that she is strong. Because sometimes I feel, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but sometimes I feel that I need to give a reason to someone because they ask me. I don't even consider, oh, you know what, you don't actually need to tell them the reason if you don't want to. I don't think about that. I just do. But this sort of showed me that this woman is sure of herself. She knows what she wants. She doesn't feel that she needs to bend over backwards for people. Because so if someone was like, oh, why not? I would tell them because I wouldn't want them to think, oh, I wouldn't want them to dislike me. But her saying this could cause Asfi to dislike her, and she's okay with that, which I think is really profound.
Yeah.
So just because of that, this whole quote made a lot of sense to me. And then there was this other instance where she is still at her family's house, and her brother is about to hit her, I think. And she raises her hand and she says, "Don't you dare touch me."
Yeah.
And that really showed that she grew up. She knew what her rights were.
Yep.
She knew what she was. It was really profound.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
that was a great scene.
Yeah. So just because that small quote, it sort of makes me think of that.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. And then the last quote we would like to discuss is, Asfi says, "Jo soch dil ko khushi de, insan ko wo zarur sochni chahiye," which just translates to, the thoughts that make you happy, you should definitely think about those. I don't know if I completely agree with this again. Because what if they're bad thoughts, What if they're negative thoughts? For example, if someone has done something to you and you're thinking of them, something bad happening to them, and that's a happy thought in your mind. And he says that you should definitely think about these happy thoughts. Yeah. He's probably not saying that, right?
Yeah,
He's probably just saying, think about happy thoughts in like you being happy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it means.
Yes, that is true. That is what he means. But if you just put it, like, for example, if you take this quote and stick it on a wall, out of context,
it's subjective.
It's not the best quote to have because again, for example, you don't like someone and you're backbiting. These are thoughts that you're having. They're not good thoughts. They're not sustainable. Nothing good will come out of them. So yeah, I also don't agree. I don't think this is the best quote. In that context, it made sense that he said that.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Yeah. We had some tiny things that we also wanted to talk about the show. So for example, I wanted to talk about the place they chose to shoot the second half of the drama. So basically, the first half of the drama is shot in, I believe, Karachi and Islamabad, which are big cities. Islamabad isn't a big city.
It is a big city.
Fine, it's
the capital.
Fine, it's a big city. For people that don't know, if you're from Karachi, where I'm from, Karachi is a massive, bustling city. Like, stuff is always going on there. Islamabad is like a quiet place.
Peaceful
Nothing
version
happens
of Karachi.
there. Yes, exactly. No, you can't compare it to Karachi as well. So,
well, we've only been to Islamabad for like 2 days.
Yes, and nothing happened.
Okay, fine.
Yes. So it's a very quiet, very beautiful, peaceful place. So there's this meme that goes around, well, if I ever meet someone that's from Islamabad, I will most definitely go, "Oh yeah, so you're from like the village," or something like that. So it's just silly.
Even though it's the capital of Pakistan.
It was massive respect to Islamabad, excuse me. But yeah, so it's shot in Islamabad and Karachi. The second half of it is shot in Peshawar and Neelam Valley, which is in Kashmir. And the second half of this show, it was just so, like, the scenery of Neelam Valley is just so stunning.
Yeah.
Okay, it made me so happy to see, because when I think of traveling, I think of going to the Alps, okay, which is in Switzerland, because it's a beautiful place. And I feel pride to think that, places like this exist in Pakistan as well. Because when I go to Pakistan, I go to Karachi, and it's a big, dirty city with dust everywhere and too much traffic and pollution and all these different things. So it made me very, very happy to see a part of Pakistan that was so beautiful and serene. Apart from that, people that may be watching this, that people that live abroad, like us, would really appreciate. I mean, they would feel the same way that I was feeling when I looked at Pakistan. I would like to visit that place one day.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Yeah, so maybe we should discuss some reasons for why people should watch the show. One of them would, like I just said, the cinematography of the second half of the show is absolutely incredible. You'll really, really enjoy seeing it. Some of the messages we've discussed in this drama, I think, well, they would help me. So, for example, if I keep some of the quotes in my mind, for example, or some of the messages. So one of the main messages was to stick with your belief. I think I would definitely incorporate, if not think of that, because obviously I did have that message already incorporated into my mind before I watched the show, but just reincorporated definitely.
Reinvigorated it, yeah.
So I think that would definitely be beneficial. The way they've shown how important support is, I think that's another reason why it can be very beneficial in terms of how you approach people and how supportive you are of them, and how much. I think so. If I share my personal experience, I believe I often thought that wanting support was kind of immature, because, and I thought of this in myself. So I thought that if I want support, that's being immature because I'm being dependent on people, and I just believe, in some aspects, being dependent on people isn't the best way to go. I think you should be the most dependent on yourself. So I thought that perhaps wanting support was immature, but through this drama, I really saw, through this TV series, I really saw how important support can be. And in this case, in the drama, it was it might have been the difference between death and life.
Yep.
And that's how it showed it. So, and many other messages, I think, they're very profound in this drama. I think they'll be very beneficial to anyone who's watching it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so how do we end this?
And as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Okay, we'll just end it like that. Yes.
No,
okay,
and then that's copyright. The Markiplier.
Sorry.
And one love Superman.
Hands up. No. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any thoughts on this, we will create an Instagram page and an email and a website, which we will work on today.
And a car.
Aren't
we just naming things we're not gonna make?
I'm kidding. So disrespectful.
Okay, I'm kidding.
Okay. Yes. So thank you for listening.
You've already said that.
Shut up. Right. So. Yes. Goodbye. No.
No.
Why don't you end it some way? Huh? You think? Yeah. You're so much better. Do it. Go on.
Okay. Sayonara. How do you turn it off?
You have no idea how to work a phone. Okay. Goodbye.